Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most OP new Vex build in Borderlands 4 using the Rooker sniper rifle that you see there circling around that enemy, and it absolutely shreds bosses as you're seeing here in Ultimate Vault Hunter 5. So the Rooker was added in the Bounty Pack 1 for Borderlands 4, and this has a reference to Michael Rooker and Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy. For daddies, not fathers, it says in the red text, pretty funny. But for order weapons, this is one of the better ones, I would say, because you can just spam the left mouse click to be able to attack with it. You don't have to charge them up, but with certain enhancements like this one, you can get pretty crazy damage, as this will give it additional damage at full charge and accuracy, and there's others that will give you the ability to regenerate your ammunition. Now this is speccing into Bloodshot, which gives 100% of our current health as bonus damage, and also using Blood as power to add our life steal as bonus kinetic damage. We can get this to scale very high. And when we're using our action skill, we actually get the enchantment here, which will gain bonus kinetic damage with guns when our action skill is active, which is our Eldritch Blast, which using the Witchy Trigger Finger to get ammunition back lets us use a bunch of different weapons. We can actually spec a little bit higher if we want to grab higher points into Phase Pocket and use things like Torque Sticky Bod. But it's really a combination of the Bloodshot, Essence Leech, Bloodish Power, and the Undead Eye class mod, which are interacting here. So killing an enemy with a sniper rifle will give you the Bloodshot, which will then allow you to get that extra damage off on your sniper, which is applied quite a bit with this one here. Now to start off from level 1, Leeching Attunement is extremely powerful. Now, as I mentioned in some other builds, if you don't want to use the kinetic only weapons, you can take the right skill tree, as this gives us actually a pretty large boost to our overall gun damage. But we can go with this, as the weapon will apply and get a lot of extra benefits from this. The life steal is very powerful, as we get a little bit later in the skill tree. And Bloodletter bleed damage is actually really powerful because bleed damage is based on the gun damage. So it does 30% of the gun damage per second. And this gets boosted up a lot if we do a full charge, because that does so much damage. So it's actually really good bleed damage. And then we also get the material components here giving us additional kinetic damage. Now, that's going to be for levels 1 through 15. Now, 15 to 30, I'd recommend coming over here to the right-hand skill tree. We're going to be using our first augment as Witchy Trigger Finger, which will give us our ammunition back. And we'll actually get additional gun damage whenever we use this. So this is really good. You can use this with Torque Stickies throughout the early game if you find any weapons with those, as you don't deal the damage until you reload. So if you get a bunch of stickies on the weapon, it scales up the damage insane amounts. Now, we're going to come over to the right skill tree and take Ars Arcana. So skill damage actually counts as Bloodshot, and it actually counts as our bleed too. It'll also count for our action skill. Skill damage is a bit different from action skill damage. So yeah, that's a 45% increase to our Eldritch Blast, to our bleed, and to our Bloodshot. Pretty much anything with orange text will get that extra damage boost, which is huge. After taking the 5 points here, I would recommend taking full points into Bloodshot. This is going to enable the sniper builds quite a bit. I have a +5 from a class mod, giving us 100% of our current health. Now, just to note, this doesn't actually apply from like the Timekeeper's new shield. Despite using it on this build, it doesn't actually apply from that. But things like Great Vitality also will not apply, because this doesn't actually count as your total health, even if you're increasing it. So just something I wanted to note with those. Now, we can take the Essence Leech if you want more life steal, because we do want Blood as power, but you can leave that till a bit later on. I'm still going to go grab it anyways, because this is really powerful to have all 3 points of this. So we get an extra 10% life steal. When our action steal is active, it becomes 20%. And we also then have 10% from there, so 30%, and then 300%. So 90% of our gun damage is going to be converted into bonus kinetic damage. This actually scales up our damage a lot. Now for our Capstone, we're going to take Heart Piercer here, because this will sacrifice our health, but we get our health back on damage. And what's good about this is it allows us to spam this, which then triggers the Witchy Trigger Finger to get our ammunition back quite a bit. It's a really powerful setup. Now, we can go with a few other setups. I recommend at this point to actually add on the Enchantment here. So when our action skill is active, again, that's our Incarnate, we get bonus kinetic damage. It's not extra kinetic damage, is bonus. So this again scales off of all of our other abilities. It's not it's a good choice. 37.5% extra damage is really good. Now we're going to come back over to the middle skill tree here. There's a few options, like this one here will give us 30% extra gun damage for a full shield, but if you're not using a full shield, it's probably not the best choice to go with that. And we can take things like the Grave Implement. So kill skill, us and our minions get increased gun damage 20% per stack, and you get 3 stacks for 60% extra damage. What's crazy about this is we can actually scale this off quite a bit of different options here. So we could take this in 3 points here. And this will give us that 20% extra gun damage, 3 stacks, 60%, and then 3 more stacks. So that becomes 120% extra gun damage on kills. So we can scale this up quite a bit. You can also then choose Drink Full instead and take Phase Pocket, which will give us increased magazine size. If you're using the bod, this is the best choices to come down here and take this. I like the Grave Implements and then the 3 points in the Grave Power for increased kill stacks. And then for the last 3 points, it's actually not bad to go into Hasty Fiends. This gives us a 15% increase in movement speed and 20% damage reduction, which is actually a really nice luxury. One thing to note is it doesn't fully translate over to damage reduction if you're using the Timekeeper's New Shield, because it adds 33% damage reduction and it adds damage reduction as well, so you don't get the full effects. But if you're using a different shield, that doesn't really matter. Now, as mentioned, the best class mod would be the Undead Eye, because when we get a kill, we're going to trigger our Bloodshot and trigger the extra damage bonuses. And then when we critically hit with a sniper rifle, we get a 33% chance to trigger Bloodshot as well. This will always come with like a 44 or 45% sniper rifle damage. I didn't get a level 51, but this is the only one I had with +5. This one came with increased fire rate. Doesn't really apply to this. If you can get extra action skill damage or cooldown, that'd be great too. But 5 extra points to the Bloodshot's great. If you don't want to run with that, you can actually run away with a Teen Witch here, and this one can give us extra lifesteal, although it doesn't actually apply to the Blood is Power, unfortunately. The 10% lifesteal doesn't either, but it's just the way it is. The Undead Eye works extremely well here. Now, the Timekeeper's New Shield is my preferred shield. Again, you get health regeneration, you get increased health, which means that we can use our lifesteal to keep ourselves alive. I also like to go with the Protean Cell. This gives 40% bonus shock damage, which is huge. You can also go with the Watts for Dinner for 20% bonus or extra shock damage, which is also really effective. If you can get one with the Siphon to give yourself overshield, that's really nice too. I also have one that's a really good roll with the 35% of your shield drain for 150% gun damage. That's better if you use the Teen Witch class mod. So yeah. Now for enhancements, I like the Vladoff ones with the Wombo combo. This one, I got a really good roll of 25% extra gun damage. But you can also use the ones that give you extra damage on the Order rifles. This gives 30% extra bonus damage at maximum charge and a few other different effects here. But I like any of them that give you gun damage. It's really the damage rolls that work well here. The critical hit knife is going to be a good choice, but the inking, the waterfall, slippy grenade's actually pretty good if you can get lifesteal on that as well. And even like the Atling gun works great too, but I'm using critical hit knife. It really enhances any of the builds where you can get extra effects on crit, and we can get Bloodshot when we crit. So we want to be able to do that. It basically, every single shot, it gives you a 1 in 9 chance roughly to be able to get a Bloodshot off. So that's really good. Now I like the triple bypass with Leech. Now, unfortunately, another thing, this Leech doesn't actually apply to Blood is Power either, but it's 30% lifesteal. So if you pop this, we're not dying because we have a full health bar. And this will also trigger the Bloodshot, so you don't have to get the sniper kill to trigger it. And we have 3 charges, and with a specialization, we get our action skill back. It's a really good one. Now, I did want to use some of the new weapons from the DLC, but the Inscriber sucks. The Rowdy Rider's not great. The Rooker is fantastic, though, on this build. I really like it here. So I'd recommend using the Rooker. The Bod, always going to be good, especially because Witchy Trigger Finger lets us... So it does 3% extra damage per attack that you get off. If you have a Torglace and Sticky, it shoots 5 of these, so it's 15% per shot. And we have Drink Full that, if you have Drink Full, that increases your fire rate. And using Witchy Trigger Finger to get your ammo back, you can delete any boss in Ultimate Vault under 5 immediately. I also really like the Stray. It's a fun gun. It auto-aims, so you don't have to really think. And the GMR is really nice, too. This is a gun that I really enjoy using, but may not be your favorite. I also recommend the Wombo combo for any Vile enemies. Chaosin for the same reason that I recommended the Bod. And the Body and Glide, which recently just got a big buff to its overall damage. Now it does 150% damage if you take someone out with a shotgun and swap to the assault rifle, and it's actually really good. And for specializations, the very most important one is now with caffeine. You basically get, if you spam your Repkit 3 times, you get your action skill back pretty much immediately, 25% per use. Really use this at 50% gun damage. This is really, really effective. And we then can add that 50% extra gun damage onto the I am a gun, which will put it on our action skill damage, which is really nice too, because this gives our Eldritch Blast some pretty respectable damage. And the best defense gives us a 30% bonus to our damage dealt when our health or shields are full, and we're going to have full shields with the amount of Repkits, or amount of life steal that we have. And the ideal roll would be to have 3 high caliber and then maybe 2 Deadeye. And actually, the Atlas Infinitum would actually work well here for order weapons, because this can give you infinite target locks as well if you get 3 of these. And again, using the Rooker here is pretty interesting because you fire it off like that, and it's just going to troll around just destroying everybody. It's pretty funny. It is a little bit tough if it's trying to get at enemies that are close to you, because it will circle around and try to hit them. But it's not perfect. It's still a very powerful weapon nonetheless. So I do prefer using, if you're just going to be mobbing, to use the Stray, because the auto aim is really good if you just want to be lazy, like you're laying back on the couch or playing on the Steam Deck, don't really want to be paying too much attention. The Stray is like the dad gamer gun. It'll help aim onto enemies here without much focus. You still have to aim, but 2 of the bullets are going to spread off and hit targets no matter what. So yeah, it's still really good. And the nice thing about this is we're pretty much invincible because we have so much lifesteal. We have so much damage output, and the damage increases are going to help out with our lifesteal because it scales up. And if we ever are in a panic, we can just activate our action skill or a Repkit and get that extra damage off and all the nice benefits of such. As you can see there, yeah, the Bloodshot is very powerful. And here's our Rooker again doing some crazy stuff. We have pretty crazy lifesteal too. Now the thing is, the charge up speed is kind of slow on this, so if you have the enhancement that's going to increase your speed, that'll help out quite a bit. But if you want to, you can also just swap to the bod. The bod is always going to be a good gun. I'm just going to pull the Stray here because the Stray is also a really just good gun in general. But if you switch to the bod and use the action skill here, what's great about it is you can use the witchy trigger finger to keep giving yourself ammo back if you spam it there, so you don't have to reload. And then when you do reload, it just completely one-shots the bosses that you're fighting against, like that boss there that just died. So for example, you can see this boss here getting covered with the stickies. Just keep spamming it, and we didn't even have to reload. It started to scale too quickly and take them out. So yeah, that is a very powerful new Vex build in Borderlands 4. I love the Rooker. It's such a fun weapon, and I can't wait to try out some other combinations here with the other Vault Hunters with the new weapons that release. But yeah, I really like when they release interesting, cool, fun weapons like this. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and we'll catch you all in the next video.